Diversity, it might be what's holding your team back, and you may not know it yet and may not know how to solve it. For that reason, I'm really excited to tell you that Data Futurology has established a partnership with She Loves Data, and we're doing a series dedicated on improving diversity in your organization, in your teams, in your workplace, so you can get the most value out of your teams, out of your data, and create products that the market really wants. Tune in every week as we speak with executives and female leaders from all over the world on how they have targeted and improved the diversity in their teams, and you can find out what we can learn from them.
We are thrilled as a She Loves Data to be part of the Futurology podcast, where we will showcase some female leaders, but the leaders from tech industry, and we will be talking about strategies, about data, about biases, and about diversity. Join us.
I wanted to say a big thank you to our sponsors. One of our sponsors is Shine Solutions Group. Shine Solution Group is a technology consultancy that has been empowering their enterprise and government partners with pragmatic technology solutions for over 20 years. Learn more at shinesolutions.com. Also, a big thank you to SAS, giving you the power to know. Through innovative software and services, SAS empowers and inspires data advocates around the world to transform data into intelligence. Committed to diversity, did you know about the Women in Analytics network that they have? It's a SAS-sponsored networking program aimed to strengthen diversity in the analytics field. Check it out in the show notes below. They're definitely committed to it as they're helping us with this diversity series too. I also would like to tell you about Growing Data. Growing Data is a consultancy that helps organizations unlock the full potential of their data. They work with some of Australia's most successful organizations from finance. They work with people like ANZ Bank, through to biotechnology, companies like CSL, and all the way to construction, working with companies like Metrocon. They help these and many more companies solve their most challenging data-related problems in analytics, machine learning, data engineering, and data governance. While I was at ANZ Bank, I got the pleasure to work with the team at Growing Data, and I can tell you for a fact they are top-notch. I highly recommend Growing Data. Find out more at growingdata.com.au. Also, a big thank you to Talent Insights. Talent Insights are Australia's leading data specialist recruitment business. They are experts in recruitment strategy and delivery for analytics and data teams. They are the go-to recruitment business for all your data roles in Australia, and they can help both with permanent hires and short-term project-focused data resources. I've used Talent Insights in the past, and I've always found them fantastic to work with. Visit them at talentinsights.com.au. Hi, this is Felipe Flores. Thank you for joining us for another episode of Data Futurology on our partnership with She Loves Data. Today, we're speaking about soft skills versus hard skills and what's going to be more relevant in the next decade within analytics and data science teams. And from our She Loves Data side, we have Renee. She's joining us today as a co-host, and Renee is the global expansion lead for She Loves Data. How are you doing today, Renee?
I'm great today, Felipe. It's really great to finally be here with you and with our guests. I'm looking forward to our discussion.
Same here. It's going to be such a great discussion. And we have Figen, Ulgen, who is the head of analytics and insights at Woolworths, New Zealand. Figen, how are you doing today?
Thank you so much. It's Friday evening, but I'm totally energized to be here.
I love it. Thank you so much. And we also have Angela Kim, who is the head of analytics and AI at Teachers Health. Angela, how are you?
Very good. Thank you. Thanks for the invitation. I'm so pleased to be here with wonderful guests, Renee and Figen, and host Felipe. Thank you.
Amazing. I've been looking forward to speaking with you all. And it's great to have you here today. So I thought I would kick us off by asking our guests to share their origin story about how you got involved into the world of data and AI, and what was it that pulled you in initially. Figen, I might start with you. How was your journey? And then we'll go over to Angela. How about Figen? How was yours?
Sure. First, I'll start with telling you that I'm originally from Turkey. Usually people are curious when they, hear my name. They don't know how to pronounce it and they can't figure out exactly where in the world it is from. I was born in Turkey and raised there. I studied computer engineering. And I was always super intrigued with unknown things or machines that can kind of think like humans. So I did a master's degree in expert systems. I was a Fulbright scholar in the United States. Wow. And then I moved to Japan and I studied neural networks, how to build them using machines. And around that time, it was pretty unusual. Not many people were talking about machine learning or data science. And I remember, working on speech recognition and starting a model to learn and coming back the next day. Fortunately, computing has progressed quite a bit, and I had the opportunity to work in companies like Microsoft, Intel, and actually my last job at Intel, I was working on high performance computing, which was about building a platform to make artificial intelligence go much, much faster. And I moved to New Zealand because I have a Kiwi husband, and I've been working with Woolworths New Zealand as their head of analytics.
That is incredible. And I love the fact that you did a PhD in machine learning before it was cool. You know what I mean? you were
ahead of the curve.
Amazing. And Angela, I'm keen to hear your story as well. How did you get into the world of data, into the world of AI, and how did you end up today as a head of analytics and AI at Teachers?
Oh, thank you. Thanks, Felipe, for asking, great question for a start, especially, right? Before I begin, Figen, you're from Turkey, right? I'm from South Korea. And by the way, South Korea and Turkey are sister countries, very close.
Yes, so, they are very related.
Very close, So if Turkey's people go to Korea and say, I'm from Turkey, everyone said it, you're my sister and brother. This is your home, and vice versa. Due to the Korean War, the kind support from Turkey, the friendship, people never forget. Anyway.
So, thank you. Our language has the same origin.
Yes. So I came to Australia when I was year 10. And so you could see that English was quite challenged because I was the only Asian at school, and luckily I loved mathematics, and my mathematics teacher was brilliant. So even though I struggled, my teachers and principal, they really encouraged me be persistent, and it will come and just enjoy. And I'm so lucky. I was so lucky to meet great lecturers, professors at university, Macquarie University. I did, applied finance mathematics. And again, I met great, lecturers and professors. And whenever I don't understand, I went over, I asked 3 times. And then whenever I asked, they said, oh, you're more than welcome. Come back again. So I went, quite often. And I still keep in contact with all my lecturers and professors. And I really, contribute, all my, the learnings and love for mathematics because, the teachers and professors and lecturers. That's why huge respect for the teachers who's working in education, field. And obviously, when I was doing, actuary slash quantitative kind of statistics, I really enjoyed the quant, component. And when I started working as an intern at Commonwealth Bank as a junior analyst, I met great statisticians from overseas, China and India. And I learned so much from them. And, I fell in love with the data science. Now it's called, data science, back then, advanced statistics. And then one thing led to another, met, great mentors and managers, organizations. So I worked, insurance company, banking alternatively, tried to learn more and grow and contribute more. And that's how, where I am now, and met great managers and colleagues and people, really made a difference on my journey. And as much as I enjoyed working on data and technology, I more enjoyed working with people because, at the end of the day, the people that made a difference and that stays with your heart longer. And I feel like I'm very lucky and thankful that I am in this industry where I can really enjoy working with great people and continue learning. And like Figen touched on, always having curious mind. I think that really helped as well.
Great. Thanks so much to both of you. I think this is what I love about my role with She Loves Data. I love hearing people's stories. And Angela, you kind of gave us a really nice lead into our topic today because, you know, as both of you were going through your sort of your experiences, your credentials, you both sound to be very technically skilled. And for someone like me, who's always worked on the soft skills side, sometimes that can be intimidating. But again, you said that you love working with people, and obviously that's very much what part of the soft skills part. So again, today we want to talk about the hard skills versus soft skills. And we know that, you know, kind of after the 2008 financial crisis, and now that we've had so much disruption due to COVID, I think there's this understanding or belief that there's an increased demand for technical skills and training. And we're certainly seeing that with She Loves Data. We offer both soft skills training and a lot of technical training. And when we pull our tribe, as we call them, the demand for technical skills is definitely much higher. So I think there's generally a common belief that technical skills lead to greater employment opportunity. So I thought we'd start by sort of defining what do we mean by soft skills. And so some of those examples would be things like communication and negotiation, critical thinking and problem solving, adaptability and lifelong learning, interpersonal and empathy, we've got the EQ there, leadership and management, entrepreneurship and initiative taking, and I think teaching and training. So I guess, how are these kinds of skills relevant in today's tech and data industries? And really, like, how are they contributing?
I guess I'll start, if you don't mind, Angela. You know, Renee, that list is really great. And when you were going through it, I was just thinking, I think what jumps out of that for me is two things. First of all, I think they're incredibly important, and I would actually put them, you know, on par with technical skills, because somebody who has fantastic technical skills and no soft skills, unfortunately, isn't going to be either successful for themselves or bring success to the problems that they are tackling, in my experience and opinion. But just out of that list that you went through, I think for me, the most important ones are communication and empathy. Because, you know, Angela, you said, you know, you love people. If you can't put yourself in other people's shoes, it's not just about social life. It's actually really trying to see a problem from someone else's perspective. And this is actually especially true for analysts. A business stakeholder comes to you with a problem, and you really need to try to understand what is it that they are failing to accomplish, or what is the exact problem, because sometimes people don't come to you with the perfect problem definition. You need to kind of extract it from them. And if you don't have the communication skills or the ability to try to see things from their perspective, I think it's pretty difficult to get to the actual analytics part.
That's right.
I think it's not just the problem itself, but their approach can sometimes just be very, you need to understand where they're coming from in their approach initially. Sorry, Angela, we'd love to hear your thoughts on that.
Oh yeah, thank you. Thanks, Renee. Because when we talk about, you know, the people and they having empathy in a technology the world, it really excites me, because I believe it's really important. As much as we need to learn more and have advanced technical skills so that we can really fine-tune the model better, more accuracy, so that we can have better predictive model, so that we can serve the customers better with the product and services. But as much as it's important to consider about the people who will be served on the other end. Because as you know, Renee mentioned and Figen touched on, the empathy is very important, because having considered mind and having just one-dimensional mind makes a huge difference, because it really opens different perspectives. And that brings back to ethical technology, ethical AI in technology, and the ethics by design. Because when people design the product and service, having empathical mind and consider about the diverse, the marginalized, and minority population cohort of people, that thinking about the impact and consequences makes a huge difference in the beginning when you start the journey of the building product and service in the organization, and the end outcome, and making less mistake, less harm, unintended bias can be all prevented. And that's really important, because when I was really surprised to see that in September last year, I was in Boston, Harvard University, Berkeley Client Center for the workshop. And I was really impressed about how the school opened up the lunch and learn, the community session to wider audience, regardless of the background, the skin color, knowledge background, education background, age, doesn't matter. Because the topic was about, harm from technology. And the school is law school. They are trying hard to really share the knowledge and insights to the broader community and try to really find out, what they need to know. So really embracing community, broader, diverse, and inclusion, that, principle, and try to really work together with the community, not just, we are this, prestigious, education institute. We just treat, smart people, and we are only interested in those people. I was really surprised to see that they are really humble and ready to really work together. And I believe, their conversation is very helpful. And on that sense, this kind of forum is very important too, because, this really generates more ideas and thoughts, and let people think about, what that means to me and what's the implication of technology to us. And it really brings out, very important conversation. People need to talk more.
So true, isn't it? I love that fact that they were opening it up to everyone to be able to give them a taste of what they may not know and what may not come naturally to them. And I think that's a really good segue for something else that I want to ask you both. And again, we might start with you again. I wanted to ask about these, soft skills and definitely on the empathy side and communication skills. Are these things that they be taught? Can people who have more of a technical bent, can they, learn these, excel at these soft skills? What are your views, and are there any tips that you may have for the audience in terms of how either to acquire these skills or impart them to others?
I mean, I guess I feel like they can be learned, because I guess otherwise you're in a really tough situation. You're either born with it, or not, right? So I want to believe that they can be learned. I think generally I believe that everybody has empathy to some extent, and it's just about, kind of honing it to be better. And one of the things that I like to do with the people that I coach is actually, it's very easy to envision a scenario, and usually they do have these situations where they found it difficult. They usually kind of think that, I just can't understand what that person is talking about, or I can't, get this information from this person. So just basically, I try to make them think through, where are they getting stuck, and what is it that they can do? And I'm there's apparently a test for this. I'm off the charts empathic. So I can kind of always see where they are stopping and what is that additional step that they could take. But it's the important thing is that actually not just telling them what to do over there, but kind of making them realize that if they did something different, they can actually get better results. So it's very business focused, obviously, because I manage the members, coach the members of my team. But I think we even did role playing with some members of my team. Like I ended up being the other person, and they approached me the way that they normally would approach the person that they're having either difficulty with or the problem that they're trying to solve. And, I felt like people did actually improve. Does it come automatically? No, not in every case, but I definitely have seen improvements in a lot of cases. So I believe that it can be learned.
That is fantastic. Thank you so much. And did you say, so you're off the charts on empathy specifically?
Yeah, I don't know. I guess, when I see somebody in pain, I actually physically feel their pain. So
wow.
And there was a test. I kind of joke. I say that I've taken every test about personality traits known to corporate world. And there was this one test, I remember they literally said, oh, okay, this is like normal population and here's where you are. And that is really off the charts. So I feel I'm super lucky to be in that category. I never knew that until they told me. I just thought that I'm careful about people and situations. And honestly, I have to confess to one more thing.
Yes, please.
Two confessions.
Two things really, really shaped me. One of them, I had to live in Japan, when I did my PhD, and I also worked in a Japanese company. When I started, I did not speak a single word of Japanese. And, if you have lived in Japan or interacted with Japanese people, they don't use gestures, or they don't, they don't show a lot of facial expressions. Well, I'm from Turkey. We use our hands a lot and we laugh, So I had to kind of cross that chasm and understand what they might be feeling. Mm-hmm. So that made me super aware of slight, changes in facial expression, or just, someone looking elsewhere when they're talking to you, or this little sigh they kind of just take. So I think Japan really, really helped me in building that out. And the second thing is, Angela, I'm so glad you had wonderful mentors. I did my share of wonderful mentors and not so great managers. So I think I learned a lot from, the people that I had to work with who didn't have the best ways of communicating or empathizing. And I always thought, what shouldn't I do that they're doing? What's a different way of doing this? So those great learning opportunities.
That's amazing. I can't believe that, the experience of your PhD, of going to another culture, helped you dial your superpower up to, up a notch or two. That's amazing. So Angela, I wanted to ask you a, essentially related question. Can people learn these soft skills, and if you can focus on what would these skills allow them to do? So if we think about a typical technical person that may want to work in silence in front of their computer. I know that's at least my natural state. But then having these soft skills, can they help you improve, or help people improve the delivery of projects, or taking things to completion, to production, to have bigger business impact? What have you seen as the benefits of these soft skills out in the field?
Thank you for the question, Felipe. By the way, I really enjoyed the Figen story. That was really fascinating. So you're not only high IQ person, but high EQ person as well. Very lucky, I guess. Very lucky. But back to Felipe's question. Yes, I think as Figen mentioned, you can train the soft skill as well, because it's very similar to, you can train to be a data scientist. Some people say, I'm not very good at mathematics, but actually you don't need advanced rocket science mathematics to be able to understand data science model, right? So you don't need it. So again, soft skill is important and can be trained. But I think it's good to see that now more people are aware of that, as much as you need to teach the people with the technical skill, but you need to really teach the analyst soft skill, because at the end of the day, you have to be able to work with the team members. you can't just, work by yourself, right? As you mentioned in the beginning. So it is really important how to be a team player and how to really try to, work together, because in a working environment, the team is made up of not just one person. And sometimes people spend more time to sort out the problem, like, the friction or the, personality clash or something like that, rather than, going over disputing the model, different, the kind of model, right? So I think, soft skill, I believe it should be really taught earlier stage, not just the university or later stage. I think because with technology evolvement, the more we need more people to be able to actually work with the machine, not just, with your peer colleagues, right? The machine and human and human to human. So we are talking about a few dimensions of interactions, and it will get more complicated. And that means we need to be able to socially actually well coordinate those relationships, because it's adding another dimension to your the working space, right? But corporates need to really pay more attention in terms of providing the trainings and more activities as a team, so that the team members can learn from each other and spend good quality time to really understand and improve those the social skills, because some people might come naturally, some people don't. But there's nothing right or wrong answers. It's just we are different. So acknowledging really differences, because as much as skin color difference is beautiful, it's diverse, and it makes the mixture more like harmony, and different skill set as well, because it will complement. Eventually, different skill sets will complement. Same as the personality, because everyone's outgoing personality and everyone's quiet, then it will be very dull society, right? So by acknowledging and embracing differences and try to understand, this is beautiful because we are different. How can I learn from each other? And, having that kind of, I think, mindset and really promoting that, acknowledging difference is, it's beauty. It's not something because you're different from me doesn't mean that, you're wrong or I'm wrong, right? It's acknowledging, this is beautiful because you're different from me. There's another things I can learn from you. So I think that kind of conversation, happening younger age, so that when you're little, you can already try to think, this is, really, diverse, and inclusive society. And I think that kind of thing will help, in the technology environment as well.
I think maybe if you did those tests that Figen was talking about, you might be off the charts empathetic also, Angela, by the way you're talking.
Well, you never know. Thanks, Renee. It's very kind of you.
I feel like, the three of you are all, you have very technical backgrounds, work in very technical fields. As someone, as I said, I've worked more in relationship management throughout my career. And to be honest, I've often felt like those skills are not maybe as highly respected. And all of you obviously have a great deal of respect and advocate for building these skills and developing them in your teams. But do you feel that that's true, across the board within more technical industries? And also related to that, you mentioned that corporations need to be conscious for how they can build these soft skills within their teams. I was also curious, it sounds like both of you have taken on that as individuals in terms of mentorship of teams. You've acknowledged that corporations have a role to play, but I'm also thinking about, what about government and what about academia? Like where does the development of these skills sort of fit in the bigger picture?
When it comes to academia, again, I'm very passionate about the education, because education, I work as a Women in AI education ambassador for Australia, and also I head up global education program for the global Women in AI, do tank based in Paris. So there are 3 brave French women started, okay, let's change the world together. And it will, started, and, we have 28 global ambassadors working really hard. So most of, regular, daily, the nights, 10 o'clock, 9 o'clock, I have meetings with the global, the ambassadors, and we always talk about, how can we help the globally try to really move together, try to help education, because obviously, especially females in education is very important. And the technology area, especially, and especially lower socioeconomic area, where we have more vulnerable, cohort of people, less benefiting, right? So when you talk about academia, I can see that there's movement from, leading institutions trying to really acknowledging social skill is very important, and how can we really, cross-pollinate technology skill and social skills and try to, bring it together so that we can work in, create, better outcome. So the emphasis is coming through, which is good, and more conversations happening, which is really great, but it's too slow. That's my personal opinion. It's too slow because technology is moving really fast, and academia, government, slightly slower, catching kind of a tail. And I'm feeling very, very passionate about, what can we do more? So I'm really trying to have a more conversation with the different stakeholders, really trying to understand what's the best practice in other countries, how, Canada is doing, how US is doing, how EU is doing, and try to learn everything and bring back to Australia and New Zealand as well, because we are like, brother, sister, country next door, right? So to us, to me, I think, a lot of best practices happening, education, even social and technology coming together is happening different kind of, world, right? And again, this kind of, really forum is important because we get to really discuss about it. And we get to really share the insights so that more audience can really find out, oh, this is a new way of, working, right? Soft skill is very important. Maybe at university, you can actually teach it and you can share it so that we can learn new method and new trend. So I think it's slow, but it's happening. So it's positive, but I think we have still a long way to go.
Thanks for that.
Renee, I want to answer your first question. I guess you, I think, asked whether technical skills are assessed, to be more important when, let's say, corporations are hiring. And I think that's absolutely true, because they're easier to assess in an interview, or it's easier to scan in a resume. I know 7 programming languages, or I have built, I guess, machine learning models on this, using this framework, etc. They're so tangible. But I've rarely, honestly, actually, I think I've rarely seen people kind of mention, oh, I'm a good communicator, or I'm a problem solver. But beyond that, nobody says things like, I'm very empathic. And I think, most managers would probably say, I wonder why you even mentioned that, because I think people don't immediately, a lot of people don't notice how important it is to have those additional, soft skills. The funny thing is, I think once you get in and you try to drive, especially cross-group projects or cross-company projects where you have to bring lots of different people together, that's where soft skills are super important. And then they're realizing, oh, we have all of these people who do not like to talk to each other or who cannot work together. Then the people with soft skills either, excel in those kinds of roles, or they are trying to train all of us to have those soft skills. I mean, I remember having had lots of training, group training at Microsoft, for example, and Intel, around a bunch of diversity topics, interpersonal communications, etc. All of those. I think they are hoping that they can hire for technical skills and then train with the soft skills. Mm-hmm. And when it comes to, I guess, what academia, government can do, when you say academia, I want to kind of actually go down all the way to kindergarten and elementary school. I think there should be a lot more emphasis on collaborative problem solving, giving presentations, even when you're little, being in front of an audience or asking questions to other people to collect bits of information. I think those are all things that would help build those kinds of skills, at least some of them.
And I was going to ask a follow-up question to both of you, and Figen, maybe you first. Why are those skills important? What do you see, or what does that allow people to do? Does it give them, superpowers, better results, a better career prospects? What are the reasons for individuals that may come from a technical background to really hone in their soft skills? What can happen in their future as a result?
So I think, most of the time, nobody just works as an island or just by themselves, unless you're an author and you're writing something and publishing it. And even then you have to work with your editor. In a corporation, most of the time you have to work in a team. And when you work in a team or with stakeholders, an analytics team, definitely you have stakeholders. You don't own the business. Business people bring you the request, and you have to go back to them to understand what they're dealing with. Or sometimes you have to convince them, that you've done the best analysis, or your insights are the insights that they should follow and make business decisions in. So let's give the example of a meeting. You're presenting, and if you do not know how to read a room, which is another little soft skill, you will not notice that some of your stakeholders are actually kind of looking at the ceiling because they're totally disengaged, or they are actually doubting your results, and they're not going to openly say that to you, but maybe they'll just kind of sit there, thank you, and then walk away and not implement, what you have recommended, which is, as far as I'm concerned, not a great result, right? So if you want to, if you're hoping to, everybody loves to get their work used and appreciated, etc. So, if you want to kind of get those business results, the soft skills are an essential element of it. If you actually really know how to read the room, you can say, I noticed that maybe this didn't quite answer your question, or I actually sometimes say, I think you have a question here, and I didn't stop, maybe let me just take a break here and see if you guys have any questions. What is it that would convince you, so I think you can definitely elicit what's in their minds if you are aware of the fact that they're not forthcoming with those to you. And that's, I think, a critical skill.
And I love that approach, Figen, and I know that so many people get stuck when trying to apply soft skills. And I know it's definitely happened to me in the past, where they might be sensing something, they might see or notice something, and sometimes we don't know how to bring it up. Mm-hmm. And so I love those examples that you were giving, where you were saying, I noticed that you might have a hesitation around this, or I realize that you might have a question around this. Can we stop and can I ask you about what that is? Those are excellent ways to bring up something that you might sense that people may not know how to bring up, and definitely a very helpful tip. Then Angela, from your side, what have you seen that the soft skills allows individuals to be able to do in their career, or teams be able to achieve when they are better equipped in soft skills?
Thank you. Thanks for the question, Felipe. Because I'd like to talk about or make or break the team, the expression, right? Mm-hmm. So, you if you have a really good soft skill and the team has, someone really who's got strong, soft skills, then they can really gel the team together. And why it's important? Because you need to work together. And as I think Figen touched on a few examples, it's a great examples like, people really, you need to work together to really collaborate, to, work, on the same, project. But if you don't have the soft skill and if you don't really put yourself in other person's shoes, then you miss out a lot of different nuances, which causes a lot of problems because especially when we are working in highly advanced technology environment, all these terms or, the definitions, you have to really tone it down because, not everyone understands what you are talking about. But because you are surrounded by all the technology, specialists, data scientists and engineers, and often some people take it for granted or assume that everyone will understand. But in the project group, some audience might be, what are they talking about?
Yeah.
After 20 minutes, totally losing the interest. But it is not just unlucky. It's really critical. I'm lost because the person turns out to be highly experienced and knowledgeable specialist within the company who's been with the organization more than 20 years. And his or her knowledge is fundamental for data science team to really create automated this assessing tool. And if you don't understand and really don't have an empathetic mindset about understanding, by the way, because so-and-so doesn't have a technical background, we have to explain this story slightly, toned down, much more easier, story to share the model, how the model works, right? So just one thought's difference make a huge difference in terms of whether you can gel very fast and, really happily collaborating and try to, proceed to the next stage of the project and deliver really successful the outcome versus how come this is always blocked? There's roadblocks here and there because you keep making the same mistake because you don't have social skills because soft skills in terms of how come you don't understand? I thought everyone knew about this. Not really, but sometimes you're surprised that some people are really thinking different way, right? So that brings back to the Figen's point. You need to teach children when they are very young in the kindergarten stage, right? So I think Finland is doing really great job in terms of education. I was really surprised when I'm talking with the Finnish ambassadors. I'm really surprised at how their education system is really flexible and really promoting thinking. So it's not important you get 10 marks out of 10 for mathematics. It's more important you do right thing for your friends and you get more mark because you displayed really collaborated, helping, empathetic mindset, that kind of thing, right? So I think whole education, there are areas that we can actually improve, consider how can we have a different kind of models to really teach young students. And last night, within AI, we ran InterVarsity Grand Challenge program. And the students who worked with us for the whole 2020 through 4 workshops and Grand Challenge, I was very impressed. The students came up and said, I think rather than technology skills, having grit, attitude, and really understanding empathetic mind is very important. And I'm thinking, how did you know? So these students never worked in the corporate environment, right? They're university like a second year and third year, but they already know they're very smart. And I'm thinking, wow, this is fascinating. They said, we can learn technology skills. And they also said technology things are a lot automated. So now in the future, it's more important having a patience and grit mindset and also empathetic mindset to understand people and society to solve the problem. I'm thinking, this is amazing. What can you ask more? So it was just, such a, wonderful experience to see that, how students are really working hard to learn that. So again, back to the point. Yes, I think it is very important. It can really make or break the team. So I think we should promote more soft skills in the technology of the working environment.
Wow, just back to your comment about those students, if that's the future generation, then there's hope for us all, isn't there? If most of them have an attitude like that, it's very encouraging to hear.
I think so. Thank you.
I think what I've been kind of hearing threaded throughout our conversation is definitely just really, I think it sums up in being diversity of thought is so critical. So Figen, maybe we'll start with you. How do you go about creating these perfect teams and putting these teams together that bring the skill set? I mean, obviously, it would be great if each one of us as individuals could develop that, our own diversity of thought. But really, the true way of doing that is putting diverse people in the same room to address problems and challenges. And then that also will help them develop their individuals. But from this standpoint, how do you create those teams? How do you identify who has what skills and to create those perfect teams?
I think I joked about it, but there are lots of these tests that kind of, in some ways, they do a disservice because they try to kind of categorize you into these broad categories, HBDI, etc. But they give you a glimpse of, different traits everyone brings into the table. So, usually when I inherit a team, I try to kind of understand what people bring to the table individually through one-on-ones, etc. And then there are all these different kinds of tests that we take as a team to understand each other's differences and to really appreciate each other's differences. So I generally hire for potential, so either for technical skills or soft skills. I believe that people actually can learn given the opportunity. And then I, as a manager, as a leader, try to build balanced teams. I don't always want PhDs in statistics or PhDs in computer science, or I don't always want people who are just creative thinkers or good communicators. It is just really a mixture of all. And then you create I think the other thing that's super important is the psychological safety. So how can you be different and be in an environment that actually welcomes the difference? It's okay to be different, say something completely different than everybody else, and not have anyone frown or just actually do the opposite. Wow, I never thought about that. That's great. And honestly, I live this with my teams. They sometimes come up with stuff that I would have never thought about. And I then celebrate the fact that we have a diverse team. So I think, as a manager, as a hiring manager, you really need to think about what skills do I already have and what don't I have? And then how do I create the environment where people will actually make each other be more, open and, bring their best selves. Yeah.
Angela, did you have anything to add to that? That was great. Thank you so much, Figen.
No worries.
Oh, thank you, Figen. That was really lovely to hear that because, I echo what Figen said. Renee, I think it really depends on the leadership. The culture of the leadership really filters down. I should say that not always the leaders are really acknowledging the diverse and inclusive culture mainly because that's how they were brought up and they're very used to it. So that's why I think on leadership level, there should be education, should be happening in the new world in terms of the leaders, not just learning about new technology, AI, what that means for the business. And also like the new way of working, what that means for the business as the leaders, right? But really diversity and inclusive culture, why do you need to promote it and what that means for the senior leaders for decision-making for the organization, right? And what that means for the employees that you are, working together. So continued education is important. And also, I can see that Figen, your team will be everyone's happy, relaxed, and not afraid of, expressing different opinions because it's very important. It really matters to bring in different insights because it enriches the team because no one's perfect. And by bringing all different thoughts, thinkings and perspectives, and you can create much better outcome and much better, the working environment together. And, it's good to hear that, a lot of voices coming through, and you can hear that a lot of people acknowledges really diverse and inclusive culture is very important for technology and AI. And that really highlights again, overall, not just without, even AI, it's important because it makes better team. And I know that, sometimes you feel like, you're trying to tick off the box, right? But even then you are making an effort. So by looking at it, you think, okay, because you're making conscious effort, they will create a new culture of, diverse and inclusive culture, and they will become a much better world. And we are going in the right direction. So I think it's positive, and it's good to see that,
That's amazing. And I love those answers. I love the focus on diversity within the team, the importance of getting people to work together and being able to leverage the best out of everyone. So we're pouring everyone's knowledge into what the team and the company can do and achieve. And also making sure that the leadership is continually learning and challenging themselves to grow sort of beyond their comfort zones as well, to be able to embrace more diverse teams and be able to learn from the teams as much as they're leading them as well. Fantastic perspectives, and I think an amazing note for us to end on. And I want to thank you so much for sharing your perspectives, your insights, your journeys as well. It's been so inspirational and so important to bring this conversation to our audience. So I want to thank Figen. Thank you so much, Angela. Thank you so much for that, and Renee. We've done a Futurology. We've enjoyed so much this partnership with She Loves Data. It's definitely opened up our eyes and helping us minimize our blind spots, and I hope that it's doing the same for the audience. So once again, I want to thank you all so much for our discussions today, and I'm very keen to get this to the audience.
Thank you. It was a pleasure. Thank you, guys. Lovely conversation.
Thank you. Thanks, Felipe, and lovely meeting you, Renee. And I love your work. She Loves Data do. I really admire it. And Figen, nice meeting you. It's so lovely meeting you and get to know about you. And I really enjoyed the session today. Thank you so much for this.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, everyone.